Dan the Man with the Master Plan. Another video for you. Really off the fly this time. I wasn't even thinking about making a video, but I'm checking my emails here and stuff, and it's like sometimes I'm like, oh my god, I got to type a response to this. So I'm just like, okay, I cannot type a response because I'm a chicken pecker, and it takes me 27 years to like answer somebody's questions. So people are going through this. They're doing raw foods and stuff, right? So what's going on? Well, I start eating raw foods. How come my joints start hurting, or how come I get so tired? Well, let me tell you, because for all of a sudden, for the first time in your life, you start eating raw food, which is real food, right? Which doesn't have chemicals and stuff in it. And so all of a sudden now your awareness expands. Okay, first of all, you're starting to eat raw foods. Okay, and that's so right there, your awareness goes up. Okay, but then when you start to eat raw foods, the water, the minerals, the nutrients, the alkaline minerals actually start to move things in your body. And you're also eliminating, like, because you got to believe me when I tell you, bread and cheese will keep you knocked out. You can stay high on bread and cheese for your whole life. Eventually the pain's going to catch up. But bread and cheese and all that stuff has chemicals in it, due to the cooking process, and the factory chemicals that are added to the foods also go in there, and it keeps you kind of numb, so you don't really feel what's going on in your body a lot. When you become on raw foods, first, like I said, your awareness started expanding, so there's one thing. Another thing is you start to begin to pay attention. And another thing is you're taking out all these chemical foods that kind of keep you numb. They kind of block up the nervous system. They sort of lower your awareness of what's going on in your body. So when you start going raw, all of a sudden your awareness expands and you're like, ooh, I never noticed my knee was tight like that. Well, the knee was always tight like that, but we always are so hyped up on chemicalized foods that tend to be, numbing, like cheese. Okay, like milk, and mother's milk and cow's milk and goat's milk. It has opioid type chemicals in there. Why? Because um, the nature wants to keep that little baby coming back, so it puts chemical, you know, opioids and different types of, you know, hormones, basically, which are uh, pleasant feeling. I'm not exactly sophisticated or erudite in this area, but basically, when you breastfeed on your mama, you get chemicals through there that make you feel real good. Okay, so what happens to a baby cow too, which has the same thing? The baby cow goes there, and it's an incentive to go get that milk, right? So what do they do when they take all that milk fat and compress it into a block of cheese? That's right. They concentrate all those feel-good chemicals. That's why everybody's like, oh, cheese is so hard to give up. Yeah, because it has powerful pain-killing properties. And most of us have eaten a high acid, high cooked food diet with a lot of residues in our body, especially in our joints, up and down the spine. The kidneys get loaded with just different acid crystals, and the lower back gets stiff. The liver gets clogged up, which keeps the brain and the blood from ever getting really clear, so your mind doesn't ever really get clear. There's always sludge running through. So then when you start to go raw food, you start to notice more. You become aware of what was going on the whole time. So people are like, oh, I'm starting to eat more raw foods, and now I'm starting to feel more pain. Aha! Can you dig it? You're pulling out all the chemicals and stuff. You're pulling out all the pain-killing type foods. Not all of them all at once, and that's why it's so hard for people to go raw overnight, because you have to understand this stuff, you know? I think the Creator wants you to understand more than He wants you to get to the goal, so that you can have compassion on other people as well. I'm trying to explain this the best way that I can, and I think I'm doing an okay job, but I just want to keep on reiterating that when you start eating raw, clean foods, you're going to start moving stuff in your body. You're also going to be, like I said 3 times already, removing chemical type foods, dopamine, and opioid type receptors in bread. I mean, everybody's like, a lot of people are like, for me, I gave up meat overnight. That was easy. The bread, that took a while, baby. It's hard to go off without some wheat bread. because it just kind of, oh, you feel all fat and happy, and you're like, I guess it doesn't, I guess life's not as bad as I thought, and you lay there on the couch with the clicker, you know. Oh, by the way, this is leather. I would usually take that off for the videos, but I didn't do it. I just reminded me. But I found this on the streets of New York, and to honor the animal, I decided to keep it. It's nice and soft, so please don't send me any comments about that. Um, anyways, you're going to have to go through, I mean, I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and I'm barely just getting started because I've had so many ups and downs and ins and outs with the drugs and the eating. I mean, I found raw food and water fasting almost 10 years ago, and it started me on a path from a bodybuilder who was just my life was a mess. But I read this $1 pamphlet, The Essene Gospel of Peace. It's in our store. It'll tell you everything you need to know. Natural foods and fasting to heal. Not a lot of people like to talk about fasting. I don't talk about it that much in depth because I'm still experimenting with it. The little bit of experiments that I've had, what it is you realize, I mean, these last few fasts that I've done, I've realized I'm strung out on eating. Okay? Even raw food. Because you eat and eat and eat and eat, because you chew, and when you're chewing it calms you down. And when your belly's full, you're like, okay, you know, you're like, not too bad, you know? So this whole thing that we're doing, the thing is, I mean, it's, you know, to eat a couple of handfuls of food every day is enough to generate cell power. All this mathematical equation, calories and all that stuff, it's all great. But as you get more and more sophisticated, you realize that it has nothing to do with calories, and it has everything to do with, if you want to keep going strong on the energy, you'll just eat a little bit. You'll eat till you're 2/3 full, and you'll step away from the food. I think the reason why we get ourselves so full is because we've basically been starving to death our whole lives from depleted foods. So you can eat and eat and eat and eat, you know, 2 boxes of rice checks with milk, and you're like, well, my stomach is so full it's about to burst, but you're still hungry. Why is that? Because there's no real vital nutrients that the cells in the body can use. And then when you go raw food, you actually start feeding the cells in your body, but you're so used to that feeling of having that fullness in your belly that it begins to be, I mean, just, I'm in the middle of working it out myself. That's why I feel like making this video, you know. My mind is obsessed with food. It's obsessed with food even when I'm full. It's really weird. And so that's why I have compassion for everyone. That's why I'm not one of these health food teachers that makes it look all easy, like he ain't struggling. I guarantee you these guys are struggling. Every one of them. Because I look at them and I can see it in their face. But everyone's afraid to come out and be human. You know, and that's the one thing that I'm not afraid to do. That I'm right here in the trenches with you, trying to dig myself out of a lifetime of, you know, of just programming that's wrong. And there's hardly any masters to teach us the real truth, you know, about what food is, and how much we really need. And if we eat less, we'll live a lot longer, and we'll have more vital force, the vital nerve energy. If we eat and eat and eat every time, it just knocks us out. But when the vital nerve force is up, you have a lot more stuff to deal with on the unconscious level. So it's nice to eat a bunch of food and knock out that cleansing of your emotions, of your unconscious stresses. I mean, we got a lot to deal with. There's a lot going on inside of you, I guarantee it. Because if you ain't walking on water, then you've got work to do, baby. If you ain't enlightened, then you got work to do on the emotional, the physical, the mental, the unconscious. So it's not like any of these teachers that teach us are any better than us. They're going through stuff too. And nobody has all the answers. Energetically though, with the raw foods, you know, you're going to be able to energize and start moving stuff through. You're going to feel stuff that you didn't even know was there. So don't blame the raw foods. Thank the raw foods and thank your awareness that you're now aware, and you can begin the process of detoxification, alkalization, which leads to regeneration. Never give up. Dan the Man, Master Plan, out. You know, I care for you more and more every single day. I know how hard this is. Peace.